Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this Saturday morning, 25th of August, 2018. You are born as an opportunity. You are born as an opportunity. Every seed is an opportunity, a potentiality. If the right environment is provided, it grows into, it blossoms, it attains fruition. One of the sutras of Bhagavad Gita says, elevate yourself through the power of the mind and not degrade yourself, for mind can be the friend. Yes, indeed, mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. This particular sutra, the word Atma is used and it refers to body, mind and soul. As such, as you know Atma is soul, but it denotes body, mind and soul depending upon different circumstances. And this word Atma is used 7 times in this particular sutra. 7 is a mystical number and it also refers to 7 planes of existence or consciousness. First is the physical plane. It is densest of all the 7 planes, and this is where you potentially reside until you transform. Physical plane, densest of all, this is where you presently reside, dwell. The second is astral plane. This is plane of creation. The medium of this plane is concrete emotional energy. It is where our consciousness is focused between lifetimes, and when we are finished with the physical plane, concrete emotional energy is the medium through which this astral plane operates. Third is the causal plane. It is the third plane of creation, and the medium of this is concrete intellectual energy that all of us have. Emotional energy, emotional aspect of energy, intellectual aspect of energy. How does emotional energy works? One day you return home, you are tired, you told everyone to not disturb you because you are going to take a rest. Your physical energy is exhausted, and you do not know how to enter into the second layer of energy. Emotional energy is your second layer of energy. All of a sudden there is a situation, you get a message that one of your friend, a long time friend is coming, and he is on way from the airport to your home. Or the house is caught on fire. Suddenly you jump out of the bed. From where you get that energy, you have suddenly entered into the second layer of energy, which is concrete emotional energy. It has two aspects: concrete emotional energy, and in the next plane, it also remains emotional energy, but its form changes from concrete to the other aspect. The fourth, first physical plane, second astral plane, third causal plane, fourth is akashic plane. The central neutral plane of creation, and it incorporates all other six planes. The distilled knowledge of the universe is recorded there whatsoever, like when Holy Prophet was asked to read, it was Akashic plane. When Vedavyas was meditating and he saw something written, he got a vision. And in that vision, he saw something which was very relevant. That is the Akashic plane. This contains recorded records generated of everything that happens in the universe as it occurs. Whatsoever is happening, and as it is happening, it is recorded as such, without any prejudice or anything. And when an enlightened person, when a person who is able to read the Akashic plane, read whatsoever is written, he gives it a form. When Vedavyas saw this vision, it was there in the Akashic records like a vision. He saw it, and the outcome of that, when he put that vision into the verse form, it became the form of Bhagavad Gita. The appearance is all that matters, and energy have a sort of built-in digital recording device, storing its entire history in photographic codes. So when Holy Prophet was asked to read, it was the photographic code he was to read and interpret it as Holy Quran. Records are actually windows into the past. The records show events exactly as they were experienced. So the information in them begins raw. It is not clarified, understood, or assimilated until a consciousness takes responsibility for doing so. Once it is fully assimilated, it is stored in Akashic plane. This is where all the message is recorded. When the sound waves are recorded, now scientists are discovering that the voice of those ancient masters can be recovered. NASA has made efforts to record the sound of the movement of the sun and the existential sound. The fifth plane is mental plane. It is plane of creation. The medium is abstract intellectual energy. Earlier it was in the astral plane. The medium was concrete emotional energy, and in causal plane, the third, it was concrete intellectual energy. Here it is abstract in the mental plane, abstract intellectual energy, which energizes truth. Then comes Messiah plane, the sixth plane of creation. Here the medium is abstract emotional energy, because it is the Messiah, it is the awakened one that has experienced love within. So it emphasizes love. In the astral plane, the emotional energy is in its concrete form. In this sixth plane, the medium is abstract emotional energy. Then comes the last plane, the Buddhic plane. It is the highest plane of creation. The medium is pure or abstract kinetic energy. We experience this plane just before fully refusing our awareness. Because of these are the 7 planes or 7 layers. This makes this sutra very important and interesting to understand, and almost puzzling as well. It is like a cone, a riddle. And when you go into the 7 valleys according to Al-Ghazali, this basically refers to the same 7 planes of consciousness. In fact, the intention of Krishna through this sutra was to bring him out of the mind. And in order to bring somebody out of the mind, he has to create a situation that something like a cone. The goose is out of the bottle. Or Kabir uses the word, the fish has climbed the tree. There is fire in the ocean. Now, if you try to solve this riddle, fish climb the tree, you cannot do that. Or fire in the ocean, you cannot do that. Fish cannot climb the tree. But it is a way of taking you out of the mind. Kabir has used this particular methodology through his sakhis, through his compositions. Krishna is using through this sutra where he is taking Arjun out of that state of mind, and only when he comes out of the state of the mind and something can happen. The potentiality that he is that can attain to fruition. Every master does it. In order for the process of transformation, he creates a kind of a puzzling situation where mind begins to remain inoperative. And one of the composition of the Sufis is, जब दिल को नींद आ जाती है और रूह भी कुछ गाफिल होती है. When heart is put to sleep, और रूह भी कुछ गाफिल होती है, and the soul is somewhat intoxicated, then I am all alone. फिर मैं ही अकेला होता हूँ और यार की महफिल होती है, and there is the company of the awakened one. जब दिल को नींद आ जाती है और रूह भी कुछ गाफिल होती है, the heart is put to rest. It is in a state of tranquility. And then there I am all alone in a solitaire. And there is the company of the beloved. That is where the mind, for some time, you have come out of the state of the mind. So in fact, the intention of Krishna is to puzzle Arjuna to that extent that he comes out of the mind. The sutra is actually a cone, a riddle, or a Sufi parable. A cone is an enigmatic sutra that cannot be deciphered by any mental gymnastic or through the mental process. Only when mind is transcended, then the cone or the riddle or the parable can be seen or solved. Shah Bahuddin, Sufi masters have used parables. Zen masters have used cone. Do not try to understand this particular sutra through the mind. And if you try to understand Bhagavad Gita as through the realm of the mind, you will get confused and you will not be transformed. You may be an intellectual then, but you will not be transformed. If you use your mind to understand the cone, you will be in utter dismay. If you try to use your mind to understand this sutra, you will neither understand nor you will be transformed. Do not let these cones, these sutras upset you. You upset the sutra. If you try to understand the sutra without using the mind, you will understand not only the sutra and transcend your mind in the very process. In the very process, your mind will be transcended. This is the intention of Krishna by introducing the 7-layered complexity of Atma, 7-layered planes of consciousness. These planes of consciousness is various stages of Atma, as Sufis call it, when we call it various stages of nafs. 7 stages of nafs. Nafs at the physical plane, at the causal plane, mental plane, and all these planes there is the existence of nafs. And when it comes to kalp, again it talks about these stages of kalp or the heart center. Drop this Atma. This Atma is the friend as well as the enemy. It helps as an enemy, it creates obstruction for you to transcend. Drop this Atma to attain to the state of non-self. The very purpose is to lift, to raise, to alleviate your consciousness. Krishna is constantly goading Arjuna to go beyond the mind. And that is the situation, that is the state with all the masters. They constantly strive to take the seekers out of the state of the mind, create circumstances and situations. And the sutra ends, the self is the enemy that becomes an obstacle, a hindrance in the process of transformation. It is the last nightmare for enlightenment or nirvana is the self. The self has to be dropped. Buddha termed it anatta, the state, non-self. We pass through 7 stages of the self in order to finally drop the self. First, you have to go through these stages of plane of consciousness, then you realize that all these are irrelevant. Everyone has to go through 7 stages of nafs. Nafs amara, nafs lavama, nafs mutmaina, all these stages of love and of nafs which has been enumerated by the Sufi masters. 7 layers can also be viewed as 7 values, which has been one of the most important contribution of Al-Ghazali. And every seeker has to cross these 7 valleys to reach to the pathless path of enlightenment. Krishna also belongs to the future. He has put this concept into the seed form as a potentiality. Whether you are going through the Islamic way or the Sufi path or any other, these 7 valleys has to be crossed. These 7 layers have to be crossed to reach the state beyond the mind. And do not let the mind inhibit your potential. You are not the mind. Use the mind as a jumping board to cross the 7 valleys. Then out of this mind, one day, you will transcend beyond the mind. And then you will realize that you were born as an opportunity, as a potentiality, and everything depends on how you grow, in what company you are in. A drop of rain falls. If you collect it in the hand, it is purest water for human consumption. If the water falls in a dirty pond, it is not even feed. If it falls on a hot surface, it will evaporate. If it falls on a lotus leaf, the raindrop will shine. If it falls on the oyster, it will become pearl. In the same way, it all depends, your growth depends on the company that you are in. What kind of company you seek? If you seek the company of those who have transcended beyond the mind, then the potentiality becomes a fruition. You were born as an opportunity, as a potentiality, and the potentiality has transformed into fruition. Then everything depends on us to grow. Love is the highest form of poetry, not in the literal sense. To me, poetry is far more than just composing poems. Poems can be composed even by those who are not of the poetic mind. They do not have the poetic grace. He can compose poems because to compose poems you only need a certain technique. As a technician, you can compose poems. And for that matter, 99 out of 100 poets are technicians. And the same is true about other arts and crafts as well. Out of 100 musicians, only one you will find that he is indeed a real musician. Out of 100 scientists, there is only one who is a real scientist, while the 99% are basically technicians. The same applies to sculpture, painting, architect, and every other dimension. The real poet has of necessity to compose poetry. He may or he may not. He may or he may not. A real painter may paint or may not paint, but his life will be colorful. His life will have a portion, a proportion, a symmetry, a balance. And this is why the awakened one, Buddha, is the poet of the inner. He is symmetry, balance, and harmony. He himself is the painting, he himself is the sculpture, he himself is the flowering, he himself is the poem. That is why I mean when I say love is poetry. Love gives you a new dimension, it gives you aesthetic sense, it makes you aware of many things of which you were not aware before. If you have experienced love within, your life will become a poetry, a poem. Your life will become a poem. It makes you aware of the stars, the flowers, the greens, the red and the gold of the trees. It makes you aware of the people, their eyes, their faces and their lives too. Each person is a tremendous phenomenon with infinite possibilities. Each person is an incredible story and he is a living novel. Each person is a world unto himself. If you have the eyes, you can see. You will be surprised. Even a beggar is not just a beggar, instead he is a human being. He has experienced love, anger, and 1,001 things which even emperors may be jealous of. His life is worth reading, observation, and understanding. Your life contains all the possibilities. The seed that you are can become a flower to its full bloom, or it may not. It all depends upon the circumstances and situations that prevail around you. Each person is a living possibility and transforming a single possibility into actuality. All those possibilities are yours as well. You can be an Adolf Hitler. You can be a Jesus Christ. Both doors are open for you. Wrongly, you can enter into a wrong room. One has entered through one door and the other has entered through another door. Both doors are available to you and open for you. One has to understand this, and then the whole universe becomes a university. That is exactly what is meant by university. Uni comes from the word meaning one. Versity, the multidimensionality. It comes from the same word universe. Then all situations become learning situations, and all challenges become challenges for growth and transformation. And it is slowly and slowly that one creates oneself. You are born as potentiality. And then everything depends on you. What are you going to become? What the end result of it all going to be? It all depends on you. And being an initiate, being a sannyasi, you are choosing a certain possibility against all other possibilities. You are choosing to become a Buddha, a Christ, or a Lao Tse. When I said Buddha, I do not mean Gautam Buddha or Jesus Christ or Lao Tse. Lao Tse is a consciousness. Jesus is a state of understanding, a consciousness. Buddha is a state of awareness. You are trying to, this is the fruition. Buddha, when Siddhartha blossomed, he became Buddha. When Jesus blossomed, he became Christ. So when you blossom, you attain to a state of consciousness which is beyond the mind. You are using the mind as a jumping board, but you are beyond, transcended the mind. You are moving in the most exalted dimension. Everything else is superficial compared to this dimension, the most exalted dimension beyond the mind, the state of no mind, the state that Buddha calls it non-self. Then you realize that the mind, the self, is your friend as well as your enemy. But you have allowed it to become your friend, to transcend. Everyone carries, who goes to the swimming, carries a jumping board. And he climbs up on the jumping board and takes a leap. That is the only purpose. The mind is that jumping board from which you take a dive into your being and dive deeper and deeper until you reach to the very core of your being, where you discover the jewels, the gems. Remember, you are the potentiality. You have to grow through all the 7 planes of consciousness, and be it the states of nafs or states of qalb or other muqamats. In Sufi terminology, these are known as muqamats. And then you reach to that most exalted dimension where everything is crystal clear, and in that state, Holy Prophet revealed Quran Pak, Quran Majid, Vedavyas revealed for the humanity Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.